Tri-County Unitarian Universalists based in Summerfield, Florida. We acknowledge that we occupy the ancestral, traditional, and contemporary lands of the indigenous Florida peoples. I'm Helene Kirschbaum, today's service leader. Hello to our members and friends, and a special welcome to those who might be visiting here for the first time. Unitarian Universalists are united not by a creed of shared beliefs, but by a covenant of shared values. We celebrate that we do not need to think alike to love alike. It's our respect and encouragement of each other's diversity of thought that truly binds us together. For the curious and for the seekers, Unitarian Universalist values and covenant may be found on your order of service and at our website, triuu.org. Our newsletter, included in the timetable, can also be found there under news and events. We have announcements, but first, please mute your phone or place it in airplane mode, one of the two. Muchas gracias, dankeschön, thank you. So, if you're wondering, where's our minister? The Reverend Christina is at the pulpit for 3 services per month. Don't worry, she'll be back here next Sunday. This Thursday, August 21st, from 4 to 6, we have our game time. We provide the space, you bring the games, finger food to share, and bring your own whatever you want to drink. A sign-up sheet's on the table behind the AV station. Carol Ford is hosting a morning gathering of friends, both male and female, non-binary, for coffee, light refreshments, and conversation this Friday, August 22nd, 9:30 to 11:30 at the north end of the Villages. Carol will provide all refreshments, and she asks that guests refrain from bringing anything but yourselves. So even if you feel like, oh, I have this wonderful dish I'd like to bring, please don't. She's got X amount of room, she's got it all planned out, so bring only yourself. Because space is limited, it's necessary to cap the guest list at 15. Carol will provide the address and directions to those who RSVP. A sign-up sheet's available at the back of the sanctuary on the table behind the AV station, or contact Andrea Coburn. The TriUU newsletter will resume in September after a month's vacation. The deadline for submissions is next Saturday, August 23rd. If you have an event coming up next month or information you'd like to share with fellow UUers and friends, please contact Marie Lujanek. Are you curious about Unitarian Universalism or interested in learning more about Tri-County UU? Join the Reverend Christina and me for our New to UU class. Oops, it went back. Okay, on Tuesday, August 26th from 10 to 12:30. We'll explore the values and beliefs of Unitarian Universalism and introduce you to our local congregation, where you're sitting now. This is a great opportunity for newcomers or for anyone seeking to deepen their understanding. To sign up for the class, please add your name to the list in the corner of the room. This concludes our announcements, and as we now begin the service proper, we'll recite our vision statement. Please join with your voice as we recite together. We will be an influential voice for progressive religious values in a diverse community. Our chalice keeper today is Joan Shepard. We invite those of you joining us on Zoom to light your chalice at home.
As we light our chalice, hear the words of Eleanor Roosevelt. You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience when you really stop and look fear in the face. You're able to say to yourself, I lived through that horror. I can take the next thing that comes along.
Today's invitation to centering is by the Reverend Linda Hart and is called To Pause on the Journey. Every day is a new start, every year a beginning, or so we'd like to believe. And we don't know, can't anticipate where we will go, what will happen, what delights await, what heartbreaks will tear us open, the paths unexpected that open before us. Even knowing that, we lean our lives in particular ways, focus on particular moments, incline our attention to what is in our hearts and lives and hands to offer. We know for sure that ours is in the going, finding what is on the path, and off in giving and creating what we can. We come here amidst the discoveries and delights, the worries and woes, to find a moment to connection, to pause on the journey in gratitude and sorrow. It is good to be together. Please stand as you're willing and able as we sing hymn number 1, May Nothing Evil Cross This Door. As we move deeper into our service, let us turn inward to consider transitions, the joys, sorrows, and concerns we all experience in our life's journey. There are 3 bowls of stones of different colors, representing the gratitude of joy, the grief of sorrow, and the hope of concern. After those present have placed stones in the water, our ushers will place stones from each of the bowls into the water on behalf of those not physically present and those who have chosen not to or who are unable to come forward. Those online are invited to type into the chat to express what is in your heart. When all the stones have been mingled in the water and all have shared, we'll take a moment for silent meditation or prayer. As the sound of the bells brings us back into community, we will sing our response, Spirit of Life. Ushers, you may now come forward. moment to reflect upon our own joys, concerns, and sorrows, and those of others.
The shape of justice, roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
We will now receive our offering. If you are visiting us for the first time, please do not feel obligated to give. You are our guest, and we're happy to have you here with us today. This is a time in our service when those who wish to make some monetary contribution to our congregation's vision and mission give to support this community and its outreach. If you are putting cash in the basket that you want credited to your pledge, please put the cash in a brown envelope with your name on the front. Envelopes are available on the table at the back of the sanctuary. I invite the ushers to come forward.
One, two, three.
Dee Collier is a third-generation native Floridian who married her high school sweetheart, Daryl Collier, a CPA in Ocala. After graduating from FSU, she taught elementary school for several years. Her love for history and drama has led her to do first-person historical characterizations of famous and infamous Women in History. Dee has already done 80 of these presentations this year. Civic and social groups, libraries, learning centers, and church groups often ask her back every year. Dee visited with us last year, portraying Susan B. Anthony and Lizzie Jane. Today, Corrie ten Boom was the first female watchmaker in Europe, but that's not what she was known for. During World War II, she and her family hid over 700 Jews and Jewish sympathizers in their home and helped them escape the horrors the Nazis planned for them. Corrie, her sister Betsy, and their father were eventually caught, sent to prison where her father died, and to a concentration camp where her sister died. Corrie was released and told her story all over the world of intrigue, pain, suffering, and forgiveness, all through God's strength. After the presentation, Corrie will answer questions remaining in character as Corrie ten Boom in 1979. This will take the place of our usual time for reflections, so please speak directly into the mic that the usher hands you. So Corrie ten Boom, please.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for asking me to come and speak with you this morning. Yes, my name is Corrie ten Boom. I grew up in Haarlem, Holland. Oh, Holland, a beautiful. Anybody here been to my land of Holland? Oh, you know what I mean, how beautiful it is. Well, it was wonderful growing up the youngest of 4 children. My father was a watchmaker, and I learned to be a watchmaker as well. We lived on a street where many people had their shops on the bottom floor, and then we lived in the floors above that in our house. Our house, very unusual, had been 2 small houses over the years had been joined together. So going in and out through the stairs was kind of interesting. So we lived on the street, many other shops just like ours and the homes above them. We were just so certain when that horrible war broke out in Europe that they're calling World War II, we were certain we could remain neutral again. You see, Holland had remained neutral probably 100 years in wars in Europe. And so one night the Dutch Prime Minister came on the radio and he said, "You have nothing to fear. I have spoken with people involved in this war, and they have reassured me, nobody will bother you. You can remain neutral again." My father looked at my sister Betsy and me. You see, there were just 3 of us at home when the war broke out. My father, Casper, my sister Betsy, and me. My mother had passed away. My older sister, Nolly, had married and moved away, as had my only brother, Willem. Well, that very night, my sister Betsy and I were awakened by the sounds of explosions. The Germans had invaded without provocation. It wasn't long before the Dutch Prime Minister said, "We have been fighting 5 days. And the Luftwaffe is too strong for us. We need to give in so no more Dutch blood is shed." He said that all that Hitler wanted was to be joined with our financial, beautiful Dutch, very intelligent financial ministry. And that was not all. Pretty soon, all of our streets were filled with the German soldiers. They made rules for us. One of those rules was that to be able to purchase food, we had to go and register for ration cards. With just 3 of us at home, well, that's all we got was the 3 ration cards that allowed us to buy the stamps to buy the food. Another rule they made was that they came house to house, confiscating our radios. We secretly hid one in the steps that went up to the second floor. And they also said that our newspapers needed to be run by them. Why do you suppose no newspaper except theirs and no radio? You may answer. No news. Why would we not want news? Right, exactly. This smart one over here, is she not? Well, there'll be a chance for other smart ones to answer later. So, no news, because it was bad, and we would know the truth that way too, wouldn't we? Well, another rule that they made said there had to be curfew that got earlier and earlier until they said nobody could be outside after 6 p.m. That meant I had to close down the club that I had started for the young ladies, 12 to 18 years old, where I taught them music and hiking and camping and gymnastics. Doesn't look much like gymnastics now, but at one time was pretty good. Oh, but the thing that I hated to close the most, I had a club for mentally handicapped young people, where I taught them that they had value, they had a purpose in life. They were precious to all of us. But it did not matter. No one go outside after 6 p.m. And things went from bad to worse. Oh, I remember one Sunday afternoon, our young people were, what is that term you use? Hang out together? Is that, thank you. They hung out together on the street, and the German soldiers came and took all of our young men that were there. Some of them we never saw again. We understood they were taken to Germany to be slaves in the factories there. And it seemed like the Germans had a special hatred for certain groups of people, like the Jews. We didn't understand that. We had many friends who were Jews. Some of them were shopkeepers on the very street where my father's shop was and where we lived. We didn't understand hatred for any group of people. We should love them just because they were people, right? Yeah, thank you for nodding. I wish you had been there and been able to confront the Germans and not understand why they had such hatred. Well, if you were a Jew, they made the rule that you had to go to the police station. You registered that you were a Jew, and then you had to wear a Star of David, their special symbol, on your clothing whenever you went outside. Why do you suppose they did that? To identify the smart ladies on this row here, I see. Yeah, that is right. They wanted to identify. It seemed like they were always harassing them if they saw them wearing the Star of David. I never forget in November, I believe it was 1941, a rainy, miserable, cold day. My sister Betsy and I were working down in my father's watch shop, and we heard glass breaking across the street. We looked out the window, and there was Mr. Vael, our neighbor across the street, had a fur store. The German soldiers were taking all of his furs, smashing his windows, took Mr. Vael and threw him out in the muddy street. He was our friend. Yes, he was a Jew, but he was our friend. So as soon as the soldiers left, we went out, we got Mr. Vael, we brought him inside, got him all cleaned up. But what could we do with Mr. Vael? My brother Willem had a big house out in the countryside in Hilversum. And at his home, he was able to get the Jews who were escaping from Germany and give them a place to stay and find a way for them to get either to America or to England. So maybe my brother would know what to do with Mr. Vial. So I called the house. He wasn't home, but my 22-year-old nephew named Keith was home. I said, Keith, what do I do with Mr. Vial? He said, oh, Tante Corrie, you just have Mr. Vial ready after dark tonight. We'll take care of him. 9 o'clock, knock at the door. It was Keith. I opened the door, he took Mr. Vial, and I kept the door open just a little so I could watch them as they hugged the shadows moving down the street. A couple of weeks later, I saw Keith on the streets in town. I said, hey, Keith, what happened, Mr. Vial? He said, Tante Corrie, if you're going to work with the Dutch Underground, don't ask any questions. I suppose Betsy and I were working with the Dutch Underground because more and more Jews were coming to our house. We did have some extra bedrooms, that's not a problem, but how could I feed them on 3 ration cards? So I prayed God to show me, what do I do? That's when I remembered Fred Koonstra. His daughter had been in my club for the young ladies, where I taught them music and hiking and camping and gymnastics. And so I went to him because he worked in the ration card office. Could he help me? Would he help me? People were turning each other in to get more food or a better job. So I didn't know, but I had to help the Jews who were coming to our house. Well, I went to his house after dark, of course. He opened the door, he saw me, and he pulled me inside, and he said, Corrie, don't you ask me about those ration cards. There's no way to get any more ration cards, because you see, every day the numbers are lined up, they are counted, they are placed where they're to go under lock and key. No way to get any more ration cards. Unless there's a robbery. I think I know just the man. Well, a few weeks later, I passed Fred on the street. He handed me a stack of 100 ration cards. Oh, yes, he was bruised and bandaged, too. Oh, what an excitement. I told my brother, Willem, and he said, oh, you have to go to the meeting of the Dutch Underground. So it was meeting that very night, just down the road from the police station, believe it or not. And so here we were at the Dutch Underground, a big meeting, lots of people. And I was introduced, my sister Betsy and I came, and introduced to everyone there was named either Mr. Smith or Mrs. Smith. Why do you suppose? Yeah, that is right. Oh, I love all these smart people here. They figured it out, but that is right. I know a lot of them anyway. But how exciting, because we learned how to get a government car, government paperwork. I was able to give out ration cards. We were helping each other to help the Jews escape. Now, as the Jews would come to our home, we called them our guests. We knew that it was good to be able to feed them and give them a place to sleep. But the architect on the Dutch Underground, named Mr. Yeah. He said, I understand your house had some interesting twists and turns to it. So maybe we should build a false room in your house. Told him, come on and see if you can do that. He looked all over and he said, you know, that very last bedroom up there, that's a perfect place to build a false wall. My bedroom. And so he built that false wall. It was about 4 feet long, maybe 30 inches deep, and it had a panel at the bottom of it that the people, our guests, could slide into, and then the inside had a pulley so that when the German soldiers, you see, the problem was the German soldiers were coming into my father's watch shop to get their watches fixed all the time. And so we didn't want them to see or hear our guests, had to hide them. So that we called this the angel room. And Mr. Smith, the architect, made the outside wall of the angel room look just as old and stained as the other walls in my bedroom. It was a perfect place. The architect also put a system of buzzers. He put, down in my father's watch shop, there were 2 buzzers there by the door and then by the stairs. And if the German soldiers came in, we pushed one of those buzzers. That meant that whatever our guests were doing at the time, they had to go into the angel room. Now, we made them practice so that they could go from, let's say they were eating a meal. They had to scrape their plates, wash the plate, put it in the cabinet, and get upstairs and get into the angel room in 1 minute or less. Practice until they could do that. Their lives depended on it. If they were sleeping, and someone was always on duty to make sure the Germans weren't coming in, because they could go anywhere, anytime. And the buzzer ran during the night, or if they were napping, they had to take their mattress and flip it over so no warm spots were felt. So we went along like that for hundreds and hundreds of Jews coming into our house. We found a place for them, helped them to escape. Not hundreds at one time, only maybe about 5 or 6 at a time. February 1944, bitter cold day. I had a terrible case of the flu. So sick to my stomach, terrible, terrible headache. And I just wanted to sleep, but I had so many German soldier watches that I had to repair. So I was working by myself down in my father's watch shop. A man came in the door that I did not know. I had never seen him before, but he said, "Oh, Corrie, you've got to help me. Oh, Corrie, my wife is a Jew," he said. "And she's been taken to the police station. And Corrie, I found a police officer I can bribe with 600 guilders, and he's going to release my wife, but I don't have that kind of money." I didn't have that kind of money, but I knew people who did. 600 guilders is about 1,000 of your dollars. And so I said, "Go away, come back in about an hour, let me see if I can get the money together." Terrible headache, terrible sick to my stomach, but I still did it. Have you ever felt strange about some people? Do you know what I mean? I felt that way about this man, but I thought it was because I had the flu. As it turned out, he was working for the Gestapo. So as soon as he came back, I gave him the money. He left. I went upstairs and went to bed. I had no sooner laid my head on the pillow when the German officers broke into the house, started screaming, "I know you have false wall. Where is it? Where are the Jews? You're hiding the Jews. Where are they?" As I heard the soldiers slamming cabinet doors, looking everywhere, turning beds upside down, everything. And one of the soldiers came up to my bedroom, grabbed me off my bed and said, "Where are the Jews? You're hiding them. We know. Where are they?" The guests who had been with us just barely made it into the angel room when that soldier came into my room. I did not want to lie to him, but I had to protect them. I said, "I don't know what you're talking about. I'm sick. I have the flu. I've been here all day." He began to beat me, slapping my face, and I could taste the blood in my mouth as he was saying, "Where are they? Don't lie to me." And then he threw me down on the bed. He went in and he started beating my sister Betsy. Betsy was a very smart lady. She began to say, "Oh, the Jews! Oh, there they are under the table." No, that is dust. No, they're up on the roof. So now we did have a place up on the roof where people could get fresh air and sunshine. And so they went up onto the roof. Of course, the Jews were not there. They ran throughout our house, breaking into cabinets and closets and drawers everywhere. The only thing they found was a stack of ration cards. We were supposed to only have 3. We had a stack of them, enough to get us arrested. They took my father, my sister Betsy, and me down to the police station with that stack of ration cards. And I said, "Oh, you are going to be processed." Well, it was 9 o'clock by then. My father always had prayer and Bible reading at 9 p.m., no Bible to read from, so he began to quote from Psalm 119. "You are my hiding place and shield. Lift me up, I will be safe." The next morning, we were taken to a prison near The Hague. And at that prison, I was put by myself into a cell because I still had the flu. In that cell, all there was on the ground was a straw mattress filled with fleas and a blanket that someone had thrown up on. That's all I had there. Every morning we got some thin porridge for breakfast. And at night, a slice of black bread. That's all. Now, with those meager sustenance, I was able to get my strength back. And one time, the nurse there was so kind. She brought me, she hid in her clothes, a toothbrush and some soap. And she had torn pages out of a Bible for me. Oh, how exciting. If she'd been caught, she could have been killed. But she decided it was worth it to chance that for me. We were told that meaning they hollered down the halls and we could not talk to each other. I didn't know where my sister was. I didn't know where my father was. I didn't know if they were even alive. And I couldn't say a word all day unless the warden or someone came to us. We were told we were going to be interrogated and asked questions. And they told us we might as well tell them what they're asking for because they're going to ask us question after question after question until we do tell them what they want. One day, it was my turn, I guess, for interrogation. I was taken into a room with a German soldier and a desk and a chair. He told me to sit down. He said, question after question, he said, "Tell me about your activities." I told him about the young ladies and the club I had for them, where there was camping and hiking and music and gymnastics. He slammed his fist down on the table and said, "I don't care about that. Tell me your other activities." I said, I had a club for the mentally challenged young people where I taught them that they were loved and cared for and they had a purpose in life. He screamed, "Mentally challenged? Oh, who cares about them? They should all be destroyed or experimented on." "Oh, no, sir, no. No, they are precious. They are precious and have a purpose." And he said, "Who cares about their purpose?" And I said, "And sir, you have a purpose too, and you're not fulfilling it." He said, "Get out of here. I ask you more questions later." I was taken back to my cell. A few days later, I was brought back, and he began to ask me about how I knew of a purpose in a life. And then he handed me a stack of papers and said, "Can you explain this?" I began to look at it. It was the names and addresses of everybody in the Dutch underground. Fear struck my heart. Somebody had given him this information. And I looked at it and tears welled up in my eyes and I said, "I can't explain this." And I handed it back, and he did something I will never forget. He took that stack of papers and threw it in the fire. Oh, what a miracle. Oh, those people were going to be safe. How exciting was that? Well, we were back into our cells. Still did not know about my father. I didn't know about my sister either. The warden came to me one day and said, "I need to tell you, your father has passed away." He was only at that prison maybe about 10 days before he succumbed to an illness. He was in his 80s, a very old and kind of sickly man. But at least she told me, and I was grateful. She also said, "You have gotten a package from your sister Nolly." I didn't know how Nolly could even find me, but she did. And so I was like, "Oh, thank you." I was so grateful. Obviously, they had opened it, but to see what was inside. But what they did not notice is that the stamp kind of curled up on the ends and crooked, and it looked like there was writing underneath. It said, "All watches in the cabinet are safe." What do you suppose that meant? Oh, the smart one's back there too. Yeah, that is right. Oh, our guests were safe. The best news I had ever heard. How grateful I was for that. But what would my sister be sending me? I opened it and I found a red towel. My sister Nolly knows red's my favorite color. And I could feel something inside. It was, biscuits. My sister Nolly makes the best biscuits ever. I was so hungry, I began to eat some, and the crumbs fell down on the ground. Now, this was big cracks in these concrete floors. And out of one of those big cracks came a mouse, grabbed the crumbs, and ran back into the crack in the floor. And now I had a friend I could talk to whenever I wanted to. I got lonesome, ate some of the biscuits, and the mouse came out and grabbed his little crumbs. The nurse and the warden came in and said, "You're about to be moved to a different location. You have 10 minutes to gather up all your belongings." That didn't take long. So we were moved. We were sent out into the courtyard. In this courtyard, I found my sister Betsy. There were hundreds and hundreds of prisoners. I was so excited to see Betsy, and I grabbed her, and we promised we would never be apart again. We were put onto railroad cars and taken to the south part of Holland, where we worked as in an industrial area, creating parts for the German aircraft radio. You better believe I made a lot of mistakes on purpose. If I had been caught, I could have been shot or tortured or both. But they never saw the mistakes I made. I imagine some planes flew in a strange direction. But it worked out. We were there for just a short time when the rumors began to spread that the Allies had invaded Europe. Oh, we just knew any day they were going to be coming and liberating us. How exciting would that be? Oh, my word. That night we heard explosions and were so excited. We just knew the Allies were coming. No, it was the Germans blowing up their own bridges and roads. Why do you suppose they did that? Smart windows all over here. That is true, yes. So that the Allies could not get through to us. Because of that, they felt like they needed to move us and told us we would be moved the next day. As they were putting us onto trucks, big trucks, and pushing us in, so we were standing and for days on this trip. We could hear gunshots on the other side of the prison. You see, the women were on one side and the men on the other. The men's side, all these gunshots. And the women were screaming because it was husbands and brothers and fathers were over there. They had no idea who was being killed. We found out later something like 600 or 700 of the weakest and oldest men were shot after they dug their own grave. The women were just beside themselves, as we all were. After we got to Ravensbrück prison in Germany, that's where they took us, we stood outside for 2 days in the pouring rain while they processed us. Betsy and I were sent to a barracks that was built for 400 people. It had once been an army barracks, but there were 700 of us in those barracks. So Betsy and I had to sleep on one bunk bed together. I do have pictures back there. I'm not sure if you have time to see those pictures. But, excuse me. But at this prison and this barracks that Betsy and I were assigned to, all the mattresses had lice and fleas. Betsy said, we need to thank God for the fleas and the lice. And I went, no, I cannot do that. It built up a hatred for the Nazis in me, and I just wanted to kill them. But as we were finding out from others, as we were doing our backbreaking labor of putting the metal sheets on carts and taking them up the hill to a factory up there, every day from the railroad cars up to the factory, and we had a quota. Well, we found out from the other women that what was happening is every night the guards would go into their barracks and bother them all night. They never came into our barracks because of the fleas and lice. That's why Betsy said, we need to thank God for the fleas and lice. I couldn't do it still. They were so cruel to us. We had quotas to meet. Now, Betsy was very, very sick. And I wanted to take her to the infirmary. The only problem was you had to have a fever of 105 degrees to go to the infirmary. Her fever wasn't that high, so she was not allowed to go. But she was so sick, she couldn't do her quota. One day, the guard grabbed her out of line, took the butt of his gun and smashed her hand. I went after him. I was ready to kill him. Betsy said, no, Corrie, no, you must forgive him. I went, no, I cannot do that. Betsy says, there is no pit so deep, and God's love is not deeper still. So mad. I just wanted to boil with anger at what they were doing. We might have gotten a potato for lunch and maybe some black bread for dinner. And we had to do our quota no matter how weak we got. I knew the time came that Betsy's fever was so bad that I had to take her to the infirmary. So here it was, December 1944. I took my sister to the infirmary, and they said that I could come back the next morning and check on her. Oh, I did not sleep that night. I kept thinking of all that had happened. I kept thinking of how horrible the guards were. And then I remembered one night as Betsy and I were in our bunks together, she said, oh, Corrie, I see the most beautiful White House. It's got a garden all around and outside. Inside, it's a curved wooden staircase. Corrie, I think we're going to help people after the war in that very house. I thought she was just delirious. Remembering that, all the memories coming back all night. I came as soon as I could the next morning to the infirmary, and I asked about my sister, and they said, "Oh, you can't go in. You go look in the windows. You tell me where your sister is, and then we'll let you go in." Ice-covered windows. December in Germany, very cold. So I took the edge of my dress and I went to first one window, looked in. I went to another window, rubbed a place where I could see until I finally got to the very last window. I found my sister. Her body was lying on a table with others who had died that night. No more pain and suffering in her face. No more contortion of agony. Oh, she had the face of an angel, so peaceful. My sister was gone. Oh, I would miss her so much. I just walked back to my barracks. I didn't even care anymore. It didn't matter. Nothing in life mattered anymore. 2 weeks later, New Year's Eve, 1944, 4 a.m., it's roll call. We were all standing, thousands of us standing at roll call, rubbing our arms, stomping our feet, wondering what horrors they had planned for us that day. And after the roll call, the guard said, "Prisoner 10, boom, report to administration." I had no idea. Just numb over the whole thing, losing Betsy. I walked into administration, and the first clerk stamped a card that said "Entlassen." Any of you speak German? Do you know what "Entlassen" or want to guess is what it might mean? It means released. I saw this, and she said, "You go over there, you get some clothing. You go over there, you get a railroad pass to go back to Holland. And you must do this now and leave." I still was, what? Went over, I got the clothing, I got the railroad pass. I walked out of those gates with a catwalk of guards and snarling dogs with guns aimed at me, and I showed them all this paper that said "Entlassen." I walked down to the railroad station, went back to my wonderful Holland, my beautiful, beautiful town that was no more. Nothing looked the same. I went to my house. No furniture, no appliances, nothing left in it. That had all been taken out. But I remembered all watches in the cabinet were safe. That made a difference. Nearby was a nurse living just on the street. She helped me regain my strength. She helped me to find food and clothing and bedding and everything I needed. I began to get my strength back. And after the war, guess what I found out about this? It was a clerical error. The next week, all the women my age, we were all in our 50s, the next week, all the ladies in Ravensbrück, my age, were shot. But I had been released on a clerical error. I found this very strange. People wanted to hear my story of somebody who survived a concentration camp. And so I was glad to go and speak to people because they remember no radios, no newspapers. They didn't know what was happening. So I went and started speaking. at one speaking engagement, a lady came up to me and she said, my son was released from a concentration camp too. I am so grateful. I know you want to help people after this war, and you could have my house to do it in. Guess what it looked like? 2-story white house, garden in the front, inside a curved wooden staircase, just as Betsy had seen. And do you know, since the war, we have been helping people. We have a staff of doctors, nurses, we have priests and rabbis and pastors and psychologists to help, because it wasn't just their bodies that were wounded. Their minds, their emotions, their spiritual aspects of life all needed healing, because we are more than just a body. And so ever since, that's why I go all over the world and speak to raise money for the Angel House, we call that. And so going all over the world, I speak to groups, and the most difficult one, I think, was in Germany. The people in Germany didn't know what was going on either. So as the room was packed, people standing along the walls, I recognized a man standing in the back. He was one of the cruelest guards in Ravensbrück. I still wanted to kill him. I still wanted to, but I knew I could not do that. So afterwards, people were leaving. That man started walking towards me, tears running down his face. He put out his hand for me to shake it, going, Corrie, forgive me, Corrie, I am so sorry. I didn't know what I was doing. As those thoughts of hatred roared up in me, I knew that was wrong. I knew I had to forgive him, but I didn't have the strength to do that. So I said, God, please give me strength to do that. And just as he got to me, I was able to put out my hand and say, I forgive you. It was the most freeing thing I ever did. Now all that hatred, the burdens of anger were gone. And I found out in our Angel House that the people who are able to forgive have made the best recovery, because they are free of their burden. Now, I have not told you my story today for you to be upset with any group of people or any time in history, because that's all in the past. But to say that forgiveness is very powerful. It can work for you as well. And I found out that my enemy was not the Nazis. My enemy was my attitude towards what they had done. When I changed my attitude and forgave them, I was a different person. I felt lighter and happier. And I have written several books. One of them, called The Hiding Place, was made into a movie. And the movie producers asked me to move to California to be able to make sure that everything was correct in the movie. Let me tell you that California has some very strange people. But they did a very good job with my movie called The Hiding Place. I'd recommend you watch that movie or read my book, or both. They are both very good, if I say so myself. Now, before I go back to California, I wonder if you have any questions for me. Yeah. Oh. Please wait for my... Go right ahead. We dancing today?
Thank you for your powerful story.
Thank you.
I couldn't help but think while you were telling it, what would I do in your place?
Oh,
And I was wondering what sustained you. The fear must have been terrible. And it strikes me that perhaps what sustained you and gave you the strength was your anger. Would you like to comment on that? And I would just like to say, you look exactly like my German grandmother, down to the shoes.
thank you. I think you have a very astute observation. Yes, anger kept me going, but it also sapped me of my strength. When I was able to forgive, I said I was a different person. I was. I had strength. I had peace. Oh, the peace that came from forgiving. Very powerful. Very good. Oh, yes. But during the time, yes, my anger sustained me, and Betsy kept chiding me, Corrie, you have to forgive. I can't forgive. I can't. But we can. Other question?
So I was wondering if you ever learned why that German officer got rid of the list of the Dutch underground names.
I can only guess that it was a miracle. And of those people being safe. How exciting. Thank you so much.
Thank
Wonderful
you.
audience.
Corrie's going to be going to UUCLC, so she needs to get going. Thank you. And as she's walking off, let me just say that Corrie ten Boom had a series of strokes that left her unable to speak for almost 5 years. She passed away on April 15th, 1983, on her 91st birthday. Out of gratitude for risking their lives to save hundreds of Jews during the Holocaust, the Yad Vashem in Israel honored the ten Boom family by granting them the title of Righteous among the Nations. Their names are commemorated on the Mount of Remembrance in Jerusalem. So please, we're going to sing our final hymn, which is Building Bridges, and we're going to do it as a round. We're going to sing one time, we'll sing all together. Then Peggy will lead this section for part one, and then I'll lead you guys for the second session. So it's Building Bridges, if you'd stand as you're willing and able. And all together first of all.
Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you. Will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony.
Thank you.
Very nice, thank you.
And Joan Shepherd will now read our chalice extinguishing message.
As we extinguish our chalice, hear the words of Oskar Schindler. I hated the brutality, sadism, and insanity of the Nazism. I couldn't stand by and see people destroyed. I did what I could, what I had to do. I had to do what my conscience told me I must.
I invite anyone who's just begun to visit with us and who wishes to do so to introduce themselves. Please raise your hand. An usher will bring a microphone to you, and please keep the microphone close to your mouth so we can hear you better. Okay. If you would like to receive regular communications on upcoming TryUU events, please take and fill out a guest card, which will be available at the door after the service. On August 26th, again, there's a class for those wanting to know more about TryUU and sign up at the table on the back of the room. And if you can't or don't want to wait until then to ask your questions, please see me, and I'll be at the table after the service. Okay. This benediction is by the Reverend Dr. Rebecca Savage. It's called Blessings Shall Follow Us. As we end our time together in spiritual community, may we depart this sacred space, knowing that blessings shall follow us all the days of our lives if we live in and return to right relationships. If we extend grace and forgiveness to ourselves and others, if we behold mercy as a spiritual superpower, if we emanate the greater love that holds us close, may our lives radiate the blessings that we've been given. May kindness and compassion fall gently from us. May there be peace in the world, and may it begin again with us.
We're doing a video.
Yeah, forgot. Yeah, thank you. Is there a prelude?
Yeah, the video.
I was waiting for postlude, I mean.
Love makes a bridge from heart to heart and hand to hand. Love finds a way when laws are blind and freedom bound. Love breaks the walls of language, gender, class, and age. Love gives us wings to slip the bars of every cage. Love lifts the bolts that force and fear have beaten down. Love breaks the chains and gives us strength to stand our ground. Love rings the bells of every birth and wedding day. Love guides the hands that promise more than words can say. Love makes a bridge that winds may shake yet not destroy. Love carries faith through life and death to endless joy.
Please join us for fellowship in the back of the room until 11 o'clock. And if you want a bit more to eat and more time to visit, There's a sign-up sheet on the table near the bookshelves to coordinate with others who like to go out for brunch. The Zoom room will stay open for 20 minutes. Thank you.